Hey everybody, welcome to Analog Stick Radio, episode 34. My God. I am your host, Mitch, and I am joined today by my two asinine assailants, Mr. Grad School himself, Christopher. How we doing? How you holding up in the midst of finals?
I'm living that Mr. Chris life.
Living that Mr. Chris life. That's what we like to hear. And Dastardly Dakota down south. How we doing, buddy?
Doing very well. Very, very well.
Doing very well. Okay, guys, I'm going to jump right ahead because I just watched it. It's fresh in my mind like 5 minutes ago. So I just saw this Dawn of War 3 trailer, and I have to say that is the most manly fucking trailer I've ever watched in my entire life.
I saw it 10 minutes before that, and I made Mitch watch this because this is the best trailer I've seen for anything ever. It's
in
not
my
just
entire
like,
life. In my entire life.
It's a phenomenal trailer.
It was sweet.
I'm kind of sad because I love Dawn of War. I'm kind of sad that it's a game instead of like a movie that I can just continue to watch forever.
Dude, so you're not the first person I've heard say that, and the trailer's only been out for what, a couple hours now?
Jesus. If you haven't seen this trailer, just get out from the rock you're under and go fucking watch this trailer because it's just the best, most obnoxiously badass 4 minutes of your life. It's gonna change you in a way.
It's radical, man.
I can't describe. Yeah,
To me, it's up there with that first Gears of War trailer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that one with set to Mad World.
Yes,
that trailer was, and that was a big deal when it came out too. People talked about that a lot as well.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah, and it's definitely up there. I'm excited. Dawn of War 3. Chris, you and I played a lot of Dawn of War back in the day.
I played a shit ton of Dawn of War.
Yeah, you more so than myself. Yeah, you more so than myself.
I was disappointed, as were a lot of people, with the second one. The first one was kind of, it wasn't similar to StarCraft. It was only similar in the way that, you build buildings and control units.
Right,
but
the
resource gathering was much different. It was more like point capture to gain resources from the points you captured. So it had like a way more active resource gathering method than anything else I've ever seen. Like if you were able to control a point, like it was kind of like, now you can get reinforcements faster from this situation. It was like really cool.
Dakota,
the second one.
Did you play Dawn of War, Dakota?
I've never played Dawn of War ever.
Wow.
I'm missing out.
If you like RTS games, it's really good. It's a good departure, like a good take on the genre.
Yeah. I'm not a big RTS guy, so that might be why I've missed it, why it's escaped my my radar. But
okay,
that trailer did look sweet,
dude.
It was so definitely good. Sweet. Definitely go check it out. I'm excited for gameplay footage. I want to see it.
I'm only a little hesitant because they're only going to start with 3 races. They're only going to start with what was played in the trailer: the Space Marines, the Orcs, and the Eldar, which is kind of like the trifecta. And they've kind of done it to death with a lot of Warhammer games and the Warhammer 40K games. And they have so many interesting races, like the undead skeletons and the Tau, which are kind of like
Chris, you love the Tau.
I like the Tau. And the Tyranids, which are like alien Zerg. Like it's a mix between aliens and Zerg.
Very descriptive. Descriptive.
Not just like alien. Like I'm trying to say like alien. It's like Starship Troopers.
Yeah, alien Zerg. It's alien and it's Zerg. Come on.
Obviously.
So let's talk about. I just wanted them to bring it up because it was insane. Definitely watch the Dawn of War 3 trailer. It'll blow your mind. But let's talk about what's new in gaming. Chris, I really wanted to bring this up because we were talking about it last week. I actually got a chance to play some Enter the Gungeon co-op mode with my roommate.
Ooh.
Oh man,
it is really fun. So the disappointing thing is that when you play, one person plays as like first player, and then they can pick one of the 4 classes. Well, 5 if you unlock the secret one. And then the other person has to play as that purple wizard guy, and the second person's kind of like. They're almost like a support character for the first person.
Okay.
They automatically get a trinket that revives a fallen teammate. So like if first person dies, you can res him. But if the support dies first, you can pick their trinket up and res the support. So it's kind of cool too.
Okay. There's a couple other games that have done that too, and I can't think of any off the top of my head that had like this. Not quite fully fleshed out co-op, but like a special unique co-op.
Yeah, this one's really cool too because if you do die, you stay around as a ghost, and you have almost like a mini blank that you can use that'll like stop bullets, but only from like a direction, not like around you. You just like stop a few bullets for like a half second, and then like you have to recharge for like 5 seconds. And once you're dead, random little chests will spawn that have a skull on them. They're gold. And when you open them up, they revive your teammate. But I don't know what the rarity or chances of that as well.
Cool.
But it's really cool. The thing I don't like is that I guess it's probably like this for a reason, but you can't go through a door unless you're both going through the door at the exact same time.
Oh,
so you can't run ahead of your teammate and be like, I'll just scout ahead while you're running over there to pick up the item. You're like, all right, I'm at the door. I'm waiting. Come on, dude. Come on, dude. Come on,
yeah,
dude.
that's
Come
pretty.
on, dude.
It's got an old school feel to it. It's probably a technical limitation, I imagine.
I don't know. It's still fun. It makes the game. It's nuts. I love that game. I still cannot get enough of that. Other than that, I got into the Overwatch beta, so I'm about to start playing some of that tonight. Woo! Very, very excited. But God, Chris, what have you been doing? I know that you had finals. What's new with you in gaming?
Yeah, I've been super busy, but I was able to. All I was doing was I got into some Heroes of the Storm because in celebration, I guess, for the Overwatch release, they came out with Tracer in Heroes of the Storm.
Yes,
and
they did.
She is busted.
Yeah, she's already getting
She's not
nerfed.
like that busted, but she is very good.
Yeah.
Like she has so much mobility compared to every other character. Yeah. But it kind of makes up for the fact that she has like 2 mobility moves and like not a lot of. She's just pretty much straight auto attack.
Right.
She has a move that does melee, and then her ultimate is interesting. You charge it up over her attacks, kind of like how it really
very much like Overwatch.
Almost like
which
that.
Is cool. I found myself kind of messing up at the beginning because I played a lot of Overwatch as Tracer. She's actually like one of my favorite characters there, and so I was used to the cooldowns and the way that her abilities worked in Overwatch, and I was kind of expecting it to work like with the same like reactivity
right
in this game. So I'd like use these blink moves, but I have to kind of wait a half a second for the move to cool down. But in like Overwatch, you're just like boop boop boop, and you're like blinking all over the place, and so it's just kind of weird. Like I've never had that happen before because it's kind of like a weird cross-genre muscle memory.
Yeah, it doesn't really happen too often at all. If
like
ever.
Like in Smash Brothers, like if I played Melee and going from Melee to Brawl, playing Ice Climbers, it's like they're very different. Like it kind of makes sense. Right. It's the same game, but it's not like 2 totally different genres that you're expecting the same character to work the same in a different.
Kind of an unprecedented, really weird coincidence.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting.
Nice.
Right on.
Nice. Of course, Chris's favorite character in Overwatch is the one with the biggest ass. Like, of course. Right? Yeah, no, okay, Chris. Okay, Chris. All right, man.
Well, you didn't fall in love with her until the whole Buttgate event occurred, but...
Yeah. He saw it and he was like, well, damn.
When I played original Team Fortress, like, she's what I wanted Scout to be like. Like, Scout wasn't fast enough for me, I felt.
Didn't have
gotta go faster. So if Sonic were in the game, he'd be your boy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Rolling around, speed of sound.
All about the chili dogs.
Dakota, what did you do? What's new with you in gaming?
What's new with me? Well, Hearthstone, new stuff in Hearthstone, of course. I'm sure you played a bit of that too.
Loving it.
I'm just happy because a card that I've been eyeballing for Arena's sake, because I'm not much of a standard player myself. I prefer Arena, and so I spotted the Flame Wreathed Faceless, the Shaman, 7/7 for 4.
It's so dumb. Shaman has like a million good comments.
Yeah, they've got a lot of good comments, and so I spotted that one. I'm like, that seems good. Like, how can you lose when you play a 7/7 on turn 4? Answer is you don't lose very often if you play it on turn 4. I'm trying to remember if I've ever lost a game in which I played it on turn 4 or ever won a game in which my opponent has played one on turn 4 in the arena. And it's getting play in standard too. So if a card is good in standard, it's probably good in arena too.
Well, that sometimes doesn't cross over.
Sometimes, but it's an easy rule of thumb to follow for most of the time. Just because the power level of a card has to be so much higher for it to be good. Anyway, that card's sweet. Shaman sweet in arena.
I love playing that card on turn 3. Actually, coining that out, you're just like, this is not fair. I just cheated right now. Is what I've done.
Absolutely.
I played a bunch of Hearthstone because of that patch, and I made a cool Sethune Warlock deck.
Yeah.
Where it's just like playing a bunch of like.
Deck is cool.
Oh my god, it's so fun though. It's so fun.
All of those minions are so undercosted. It's disgusting. Like
I crafted the twin imps, and I play the twin imps with a with Braun. So like he gives the double battle cry. So when you play the other guy, the twin imps, normally if your Sethune is like above 10 attack, you get that guy who you play plus his buddy who's the same. Like it's a 4/6 for 7. So you get 2 4/6s for 7. But if you have Braun out there who lets your battle cry happen twice, you get 3 4/6s for 7.
Yes.
Yeah, lots of crazy stuff. But I was trying to be brief on Hearthstone. It's just too good. We can't stop ourselves. Because the real gem of my week has been Ark. My buddies and I discovered that. Ark, the survival game with dinosaurs. They have these servers they call extinction servers, and basically every month, at the end of every month, they have a meteor crash into the server and it resets the server. And so in a game like in a sandbox game like that, it's really easy for things to get out of hand quickly because the progression is gated purely on like time invested. And so it's not too long before each server has something of like a superpower tribe who just invests way more hours into the game than anybody else can. And it just snowballs. Then they're unbeatable. They're immortal. Like they just rule the server with an iron fist. The extinction servers allow that progression to just reset and everybody's at ground zero again.
So what does the meteor look like? Is it a la Majora's Mask? Does it have a creepy face?
It's got a big face. No, it doesn't have a face. I said to my friend, Ark is the best, worst game you've ever played because the game is so jank, man. And it's still in early access. I understand. I'm a software developer. I was having a conversation with a friend. He's like, oh, you're not giving them enough credit. They're great early access developers. They are. I think that their priorities are way too heavily in the direction of content over quality. I think they need to find a better middle ground. But my point is the meteor. It floats in the sky, and it's like this craggly, cool-looking meteor thing, and then there's like meteorites falling off of it to the ground, like fiery meteorites. They don't have an in-game effect. They just kind of sit there. But it rotates around the map in a kind of like a sun or a moon would, and when it's on the horizon, the meteorites fire upwards, so it looks like they're going away from the planet instead of towards the planet, because the graphics are not coded in such a way that. Anyway, too long on the meteor. Ark has been all about building a pirate ship, capturing other people, other players, locking them in bamboo prisons, and leaving them there.
You could make pirate ships now?
You can make pirate ships and bamboo prisons and handcuffs, and that's all we've been doing, and it is... I always forget how much I love this game until I play the game, and I was reminded once again, Ark is the most fun I think I've ever had, honestly, playing a video game. Ever.
Really?
I feel like you say that every time you play a video game again.
How dare you?
I feel like you did. You said it when we were playing Rocket League backwards, and now you're saying it with this. It's just like every time you revisit a game in a new way, you're like, "This is the most." I mean, I guess technically
that's not true. Like
if this new thing is is more fun than the previous thing, then it is the most fun you've ever had.
I will say unequivocally that Ark is the most fun I've ever had. And next time I say that about another game, ask me about Ark.
No, mark it down. We're gonna mark it down right now. Episode 34. Ark is the most fun. On that note. Let's move on to the main topic. All right, so today we are going to be discussing handheld gaming, something that I think the three of us have had a lot of experience with. Chris, I think you're probably the superpower here in this group of handheld gaming. I don't own a handheld game anymore. I have an iPhone now. But we're going to be discussing handheld gaming. What's up?
I was going to say, that's a good point. That's a great place to kind of start. You have an iPhone now, so you consider handheld gaming obsolete.
I mean, to a degree, for what I want handheld gaming to be, it is obsolete. I understand that it has different degrees. There are some people that want a more in-depth gaming experience, but for me, handheld gaming at this point has just become a way to pass the time. And I think that's really all I wanted a Game Boy for back in the day, but I had a lot more free time, so a more involved game was perfect for me.
Okay.
But now I want to just jump on, play like a quick match of Hearthstone, and then go back to work.
Do you guys think that the mobile can't provide that kind of in-depth gaming experience that you mentioned that a handheld can?
I think that it can, but mobile developers don't wanna because it's expensive and they're not going to get as much return out of it. They could spend like, a small amount of time developing a shitty game that just like gives you like a really quick fix and they could charge you 99 cents for it and they can make a decent amount of money on it. Like a la Candy Crush or, any of those other fucking stupid games. Or they could like spend a shitload of money developing this like intense experience like Hearthstone, and it might work or it might not. It's just, there's just a higher risk when you develop a more involved mobile game. Dakota, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't disagree. I think that's all true, and I think that all has a lot to do with the current climate of mobile gaming, with regards to actual mobile platforms. Do you guys want to talk briefly about like maybe our first mobile experiences before we get into the deep stuff?
Let's start at ground zero. Yeah, let's start at ground zero. I actually have already discussed my first handheld gaming memory on this podcast. When I was 11 years old, I received my see-through purple Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess it's not true. I had a Game Boy before that, but it wasn't really like mine. It was like my parents. Like we had a Game Boy.
Oh.
I don't know, but yeah, I guess it started with like Game Boy, like the original OG gray brick Game Boy, playing like Tetris and all those other games. Chris, what?
You actually beat me there. I never had the original brick Game Boy. That was the one thing I never really had.
I didn't have it. Like I said, like my sister and I had to share one, and like my dad used it and stuff like that. So it was like the family Game Boy.
Yeah.
It wasn't really mine. My first one was the purple Game Boy Color, the see-through one.
My first handheld gaming experience was actually a Sega Game Gear.
No kidding.
Damn, you were Game Gear?
Yeah, and which is weird because I didn't own any Sega consoles at all.
It's very strange coming from you.
Yeah, I know. Really weird. But my first one was a Sega Game Gear, and I thought it was great. Like at the time, man, that was fantastic. It played almost like 32-bit games with color.
Yep.
When the Game Boy, like the next Game Boy that came out after that was that Game Boy Color that we had, and still that didn't have the kind of color quality that came in the Game Gear. But this is a big but. That monster took like 8 goddamn batteries.
Yeah,
oh my god, it was
AA batteries, and it had like a 4-hour battery life. Like
it was a heavy piece of equipment, man.
Fucking batteries, yeah.
But I lived in New York
too. It was like
but that was great because like it was comfortable. At least my little hands, it was comfortable. I don't know about my man hands now, but like back then, I lived in New York, and we were about to move down to Florida, and my grandparents were down here, so we took a lot of road trips from New York to Florida. And that's like a 2-day road trip. And that's not an exaggeration. So it was perfect because I got it with the little the car adapter. So I just plugged it into the little socket and played a bunch of games. I played so much of this weird caveman game and some Sonic game, and there was an X-Men game that was terrible. But that's my first real good handheld gaming experience was like in the car ride. The little headphones on, plugged it, like leaning over, plugged into the ashtray, and like trying to little cigarette lighter.
It's so weird that your first experience is not a Nintendo console. Like,
right?
That's so awkward.
It's really bizarre.
The early memory that I have that's similar to that, Chris, is in the car playing Game Boy before the backlight, holding it like out the window to try to catch the street lights.
I remember doing that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Making deals with your mom to like, hey mom, can I just please like turn this light on? Like, please, I can't see.
Right.
Come on.
Can I turn the car light on? No, you may not. How many exchanges? How many times has that exchange happened between some 11-year-old kid with his Game Boy and his mom?
And it'll never happen again. They'll never know. No. Like, I can't
kids
see
these days with their
turn
LEDs.
The fucking light off.
Right.
Yeah, your mom, come on, turn on the light, and like the back seat, and you're kind of like turned around, like. Please, and she's like, I'm going to get pulled over. No, turn it off.
Now it's your mom saying, give me that PlayStation Vita and shine the light down here. I dropped my earrings. It's reversed.
I remember, I have vivid memories of playing my Game Boy in the car and like doing things in Pokemon to the street lights, like really quickly, like, and then select a move. And then like the lights would go away and they would come back and like, real quickly select a move. Real quickly select a move.
You got to play by the cadence of the lights.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, turn-based system really worked out right there.
That's a definite positive of JRPGs of the time. That's why they've been declining.
Yes.
God damn new age handhelds.
I can't believe we didn't make that connection in the episode that we did on JRPGs.
It's so simple too. So the reason we're talking about handheld gaming is obviously because of this new PS Vita exclusive that I think we were talking about it last week, weren't we?
I think we mentioned it, yeah.
Sure.
Well, I forget what it's called. Someone help me out. Give it to me.
Drinkbox Studios Severed is the game.
Yes.
Severed. These are the same guys that did Guacamelee.
Somebody just threw up a bunch of words.
What's that?
Drinkbox Studio Severed? Like, none of that, like...
I don't think he understood. It's a title by Drinkbox Studio called Severed.
Oh, okay. I did not understand that at all.
No.
What the hell kind of game?
I tried to enunciate, man. I got a mumbling problem. That's why I do a podcast.
Chris is just in it. So it's a PS Vita exclusive. Like that's such a why? Like
it's
why?
unusual.
Does anyone use that anymore?
That's a very fair question, and I think it's one that a lot of people are asking. Mitch, what were you gonna say, Chris?
Yeah, I know. Oh, go ahead, Chris. Yeah.
I was gonna say. I mean, it makes sense. Nintendo's console still has a bunch of exclusives, but it's very strange to see it for the PS Vita. It's pretty much considered like a failure right now. A lot of people are using the Vita solely as another screen for their PlayStation 4.
Yes.
Right? Doesn't it have that?
It does. It does have that.
And it's this is my PlayStation shit box. Like,
it's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's a funny thing that is what it is. Because it's a very cool feature, but it's not quite enough to hold the console up. The problem is, well, we'll talk about problems in a bit, but yeah, Severed is a PS Vita exclusive. I hear it's quite good. I don't have it because guess what, guys? I don't have a Vita.
Yeah, I don't have a Vita either.
I don't have a Vita.
Actually, that's not very honest of me. I have a Vita, and it kind of ate shit, actually. I went to go take it on the trip a couple months ago, and I whipped it out, and it was deadzo, and it won't work, which breaks my heart. I was very happy to have one. I was one of the few Vita owners. But so yeah, Severed's supposed to be quite good, and they were asked in a couple interviews like why are you developing a Vita exclusive? A lot of people want them to make a sequel to Guacamelee because Guacamelee was hugely successful. But Guacamelee also started on the Vita and was only subsequently released on PlayStation 4. Told you about that game. You guys got to get on the.
I saw it on it's on the Wii U storefront.
Oh, is it?
Little Nintendo storefront. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were asked like, why make it an exclusive, and they kind of just said that they recognized that their success was kind of began with the Vita. They had Vita first launches 3 times now, and so at this point they are trading on their own name. They're trading on Gearbox Studios. They're not trading on Vita. So it's not like they chose Vita because it's Vita. They are only able to be successful on Vita because they're Drinkbox Studios.
Okay.
So I think that might have everything to do with it. They mentioned the user base. They want to give a little back, but typically it's not a good idea to be an exclusive title on the Vita. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, being an exclusive title is automatically a risk, but when you're an exclusive title on an uncommon device, I don't know. That would be like a studio coming out right now making like an exclusive ColecoVision game. Like, that's just stupid. Why would you do that?
Yes.
So it's a little
unwise.
They don't got no TurboGrafx games.
Unwise.
Right, like obviously that's to the extreme, but I'm just saying like it's already a risk being an exclusive on an exclusive title for anything, but picking something that's very obviously in the decline just seems even riskier.
Right.
I don't know if being exclusive is necessarily risky because then you have the full backing of the company behind you. Like it's like, PlayStation's like, oh, this is an exclusive PlayStation only. Get in here.
Totally.
So I think an exclusive like Halo, I mean that's another extreme on the opposite end. It's like, hey, Halo's only Xbox. If you want to play Halo, you got to get an Xbox. That's it. You don't have any other choice.
That goes into that whole that whole conversation we were having about Rocket League and how everything's like working together now. Like if you telling me that people with PlayStations wouldn't have fucking played Halo, they would have played the shit out of Halo.
Exactly. I think that's what I'm saying. But also, what I think is strange is not the exclusivity of this game. It's the fact that, like, probably what Dakota's getting at, it's on the Vita.
Right.
Why is that? And it's especially weird because it's in a dwindling handheld market, which even Nintendo totally controls. Like, we all know, if you're going to pick a handheld, you're going to go with the 3DS. 100%.
Or some form of the Nintendo Game Boy. Like, you're going to go with the Nintendo product of some
You
form.
know what? I think Nintendo is kicking themselves in the foot right now by they released the new 3DS. You guys know about that with the extra analog stick, and it's got a little it's got an extra processor, so it could there was the Hyrule Warriors game. It was like the Zelda game that played like why can't I think of the name? Dynasty Warriors. Thank you very much. So it played a Hyrule Warrior game, and they released it on the handheld, but apparently it plays like absolute shit garbage on the old 3DS. Like, people are saying, the reviewers are saying, don't even bother getting this. It's not going to run. So they're releasing games now that they have the exclusive rights to, things that people want to play, but they're kind of tweaking their own handheld market so that they have like two of the same that are different consoles. Like, I don't know what they're trying to do for the future here. I'm worried about the future for the 3DS.
Well, let's
talk about the present.
What we're talking about right now, though. So this Vita, like, let's talk about the Vita. Why do we think the PS Vita has failed? Like, what? Because it's, I mean, calling it a failure seems harsh, but I mean, it's failing. Let's call it a spade.
It's undeniable. The console has failed, and you can tell that the console's failed because Sony has all but abandoned it. I mean, they really have. It's not even that hyperbolic to say. Why did it fail? Like, a lot of different reasons. I think probably the biggest reasons I can think of are cost. They did two huge things. The first one that stands out is they chose to go with a proprietary memory chip that was like 5 times as expensive as normal memory cards of the same capacity. So there's like a huge misstep one, like, because the stick that everybody's gonna get is like the $100 stick. And when I say $100 stick, it had like 32 or 64 gigs. I can't remember which. An equivalent stick of just, if you got like, went to buy memory, like a USB stick or something, it was like $20. And so it's like they just gouged you with this proprietary nonsense. And Sony does that a lot. They're very, very common for them to have proprietary hardware for their devices, like stupid, headphone jacky whatevers that only work with their stuff. All that stuff is... It's almost typical of the culture, maybe, the Eastern culture.
I want that to be the mascot of something, Headphone Jackie.
Headphone Jackies. I want that to, the brand name.
Oh, man.
And then the other thing that's huge, I think, is that the Vita was almost too powerful for its own good. Like, that's how they tried to differentiate themselves, I think, from Nintendo's handhelds, by making this amazingly powerful handheld. It's awesome. It's gorgeous. The games are beautiful. Like, it can do things that the PlayStation 3 can. But what does that mean for development? It means that the development costs of a handheld game are fucking high, man.
Sure. Yeah,
they're like
exactly.
as high as console development, and that's not good because the market is so much smaller. Usually handheld developers can expect to pay less to develop a game and get less in return, but it works out like that. But when the development costs are as high as a console, but the return is still measly handheld return, all of a sudden the developers don't make games. And when a console has no games, nobody buys a console. And when nobody buys a console, the developers don't want to make games for it. And so it just like spiraled into its own, pile of turd.
Yeah, it eventually demised. I mean, that's what I would say is the reason for the Vita's failure. Besides the fact that it cost an actual arm and a leg to purchase. There's just no titles for it, and I think what you're saying speaks very heavily to that. If there's that's what I hear from everybody that had a Vita and didn't want it anymore. We actually have somebody in the chat, Earth Captain, saying he traded his in because of the lack of worthwhile titles. That seems to be the war cry of everybody who dislikes where the Vita's at right now. Is that there's just nothing to play on it.
I don't think I agree with that. I'll talk about that later. I think that there's plenty of good titles, but there's a problem with the titles, the particular titles themselves. I'll leave that as a little lead.
Oh snap!
Man.
I think it's in a kind of a weird spot to where it's kind of marketed. PlayStation games, they're marketed more towards the gamer nowadays, right? Like you think like PlayStation or Xbox, you think, I'm a gamer, I'm gonna get those two consoles. Where Nintendo is kind of like, oh, it's whimsical, it's Nintendo, it does its own weird stuff. So that when you're getting a handheld game, you're expecting weird stuff, little handheld games. Sometimes there's like really cool stuff, like the I don't know, there's the Monster Hunter games and stuff like that on the handheld. But PlayStation has, I don't know, I haven't really played or paid too much attention to the Vita, but it sounds like they're trying to get some of that kind of handheld market type games. You know, those really quick to play, kind of whimsical, kind of fun, like, what is this type games on there? And I don't know if the PlayStation market is willing to go from, like, to adopt that. They're going to go to the 3DS.
Right. I mean, well, I feel like I was watching when they released the Vita, they were saying it was supposed to be some sort of like luxury console. So I think that's another problem with the Vita, is that they really were marketing it. It seems like towards like the older generation. They weren't actually even marketing it towards kids, which is where you're going to get a lot of your handheld sales. I feel like.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not a businessman by any means, but I mean that just seems like, especially with Nintendo showing huge success in that market, I have to think it's got a lot to do with they're marketed towards like 10-year-olds and 10 to 40 instead of just like, it seems like the Vita was only marketed to like 18 to 21 to 40. Like they just cut out half their market.
That's the thing. I don't even think Vita appealed to older people. My girlfriend's mom had a 3D or a DS for a little while because she liked to play the Brain Age or the Sudoku type games on there that they just don't. I didn't ever see one of something like that on the Vita. I was in like abroad and in Asia, there were old women on the train with a 3DS. I literally saw it myself.
My grandmother bought a 3DS for that specific reason. Like,
there you go. So that's what I'm saying. Like the Vita had a very, very specific gamer market of like 15 to like mid 20-ish that they were trying to hit in a like handheld market that those kind of gamers don't necessarily spend a lot of time gaming in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
they I mean when you cinch your target audience, it's gonna it's either gonna be really, really successful or just fucking a pile of shit garbage, Chris, as you've said before.
Do you think do you think that aside from kind of supporting the quirky offbeat stuff, are there any other reasons why Nintendo just consistently dominates the market, especially now in the current climate?
Innovation.
Beyond innovation. I think they just know what they're doing. Like they've also have the track record. People off the bat when the Vita came out, they're like, maybe I'll wait and see what they're going to do, since maybe I already have a 3DS. I already have the Nintendo handheld that's going to give out quality. Like I know that it's going to have quality titles. And then it just kind of helped feed into this big loop of why the Vita failed. Failed for so many reasons, but I think Nintendo has had the dominant hand in the market, which it could easily lose. It used to have the dominant hand in the console market. But since the handheld market's so niche, I think that what they do there, they do very well.
Yeah, I mean, they continue to consistently innovate on their original prototype, the Game Boy. Like they've continued to push the envelope over and over and over again, and they keep blowing everyone's mind.
That's where I think that they're going a little too far, especially with that new 3DS that they came out. That's what I was mentioning it before, because I kind of tied it to the failure of the Vita almost, in that they were trying to have too much peripheral stuff, like you were saying, Dakota, too many proprietary things. Like they have a whole other system that has an additional analog stick. They want you to buy another like $300 handheld, $200 handheld, when I already bought one a few years ago that should be able to play the same things, but it's not going to play it as well. Like it's kind of splintering this market of people who have kind of the same thing.
Right.
I don't really understand where they're going with this. And Nintendo, seems to do this near the end of their handheld's lifestyle.
I did want to mention something that you made me think of as far as like innovation, Mitch, is that I think that's where Vita kind of found its stride, actually, was with more quirky, idiosyncratic indie titles. I think Sony wanted people to focus on the big console games that basically got like spin-offs on the Vita, like Uncharted had one, Assassin's Creed, some of these like really big.
God of War did too, right?
Yeah, God of War. It's like
I imagine
what people don't want that though. They just want to play those games on a big fucking TV,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so
who the fuck wants to sit here and play God of War?
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
I'll just go to my TV and play God of War.
And so I think
that's why I was going to say that's why I think one of the big things about that Vita was that it had that ability to play the big games on.
Right.
I thought it was weird that it had the ability to play the big games on the little screen, but again,
yes,
why would you do that when you just want to play that big it on the big screen?
Turns out that's not what people wanted from their handheld, and when people started to realize that, then it became kind of a bastion for Bastion was on the Vita. But
that's such a great game.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And that's just it. There's a lot of great games like that where it's not this hyper realistic 3D title. It's beautiful though. It is beautiful, and so I think the best titles for the Vita are ones that are unique. Indie titles with like a really beautiful art style, because the screen on the Vita is fucking primo, dude. Like, it looks gorgeous. So even if a title doesn't have amazingly hyper realistic, high fidelity graphics, something like Bastion that's just beautiful because of the art style it's presented in, that's a really good Vita title. And those are the kinds of games that should have been emphasized earlier, I think, if Sony wanted the Vita to have any success. But I think they realized it too late.
I also think they didn't really focus on what's so cool about the idea of a handheld game, which I think that's another thing Nintendo really picked up on. The 3DS, you have that friend pass. So when you turn that on and you walk past people, then you're getting friends over there. You get like little special things. I don't know how many times like I've brought my 3DS, particularly because I knew I was like going to a mall or I was going to a campus for something. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to spot a bunch of people here. I wonder if they'll show up in my game or like give me a little extra bonus. And that's so cool.
That's
to like
very
walk
cool.
around and be like, oh, I wonder who's going to pop in and I wonder what they're going to have for me. And
that's like, that's a good point. That's a really like PlayStation's trying too hard to be like a handheld computer. And it's like, well, I'll just play my console. I'll just sit on my computer. Like, I played Bastion on my computer. I didn't need a Vita to play that. I just played it on the PC, and it looked just as good as it probably did on the Vita. Whereas Nintendo likes to focus on the fact that they know you're going to be playing this like handheld. There's a reason for this game to be handheld. And I think that's kind of where a lot of Nintendo's success is derived from as well, is that they're not trying to blow your mind with crazy graphics. You're like, you're going to be playing this like in the car, like on a bus or on a train or on the subway. Let's focus on that. Let's touch on the aspects of what you're going to be doing and why you're going to be on this handheld. And maybe try to emphasize those. And I think that's a big part of it.
And it feels natural with like, especially with the 3DS where you could like write on the screen. Like, how often are people like, playing a little like a crossword in their books or something on the subway? It just mimics that in a certain way. You're sitting there and you're writing on your little handhelds, maybe sideways. You're playing it. I think it's just they understood why people need that little time spender. It's not to get the epic experience and the explosions and
right. We
everything.
Have things for that. That's covered.
That's at home.
Right.
That's for at home.
I think another thing that Nintendo did way better than I think another thing that Nintendo did way better than Sony was continued support. Right, as soon as Sony realized their Uncharted on the handheld plan wasn't working, they kind of jumped ship. They stopped promoting the Vita pretty early on at trade shows. They stopped first-party development completely. Like, they said, no, we're not making any more Vita games, and they're just leaving it up to third-party developers. Nintendo, however, constantly supports their titles. I think the 2011 3DS release was relatively floppy, and they didn't go and they didn't go, oh damn, well, okay, and stop talking about it. They fucking started iterating on the hardware and releasing different versions of the 3DS. They kept coming out with sweet titles. Like some of the so here's 2015, some of the titles for Nintendo on 3DS. Mario VDK, Tipping Stars, Majora's Mask 3D, Xenoblade Chronicles, Animal Crossing, Codename Steam, all published by Nintendo. All of those. They even got Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. They stole that from fucking Sony, right? Those games used to be on the PSP and PS Vita, and now the fourth title's on the 3DS. Because it's like when Nintendo finances, in-house finances, first-party development, they create faith in their console, and then people buy it, and then lo and behold, developers want to develop for it because people are buying the console.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, it may have something to do with the fact that Sony just seems like they're trying to do so much. Like, Sony is not just like a gaming company, right? They do all sorts of different things. Sony, I know they have like music studios. They have, they're making computers. They're making all sorts of dumb shit. And Nintendo's like just a gaming company. So they're just like, we're just going to keep releasing. They really only have like the Wii U and the handheld stuff to work on. I mean, besides like, like the Pokemon stuff or what is it? The Pokemon app that's coming out. I'm losing.
Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go. Thank you. They only have those things to focus on. So I feel like Nintendo has a lot more time to just focus on those. Whereas Sony's trying to dip their hands in like every sort of pot they can. They have virtual reality coming out. I mean, they just have a bunch of different things going on. I think that
they have teams dedicated to that. I don't think that the team focused on the Vita isn't necessarily going to be dealing with the VR.
Well, what I mean by that is, I guess I didn't express my point clear enough. What I mean by that is I feel like Sony treats these types of things more as a business, whereas Nintendo kind of treats it almost as like a love child. Like Sony's like, oh, Vita's not working? Okay, no support. Guaranteed they didn't get very much support. Vita starts failing, they're not going to get much support from corporate. Right. Whereas Nintendo's like, no, fuck that. This is our love child. We're going to make it work.
It does seem like they're more invested in the handheld, and with good reason. They have like a long history to uphold. They've always been the handheld dominating power, right? The superpower. So I think
that Game Boy was just crushed.
I would imagine that if they lost that status, that would kind of be like a really big kind of like cultural blow, like as far as like honor and like tradition. I mean, maybe I hope I'm not being culturally insensitive.
When the 3DS came out, I was one of the early adopters for that. I had some disposable income then, and
back
I was
in
like,
the day.
You know what? New 3D, like 4 years ago, before grad school. I was like, you know what? New Nintendo handheld coming out. I'm on the ground floor with this. But it had absolute shit. Absolute shit when it came out. Nobody supported. Everybody's like, that's it. Wii's doing terrible. Nobody's looking forward to anything. Nintendo going down the tubes. They're over. Game over. And then a couple years later, like in true Nintendo handheld fashion, the games started coming in. And like new Professor Laytons, the Zeldas, the remakes of the Zeldas, Fire Emblem games, the Monster Hunter, like they know what they are doing, at least in the handheld space.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on in the future for handheld though?
God, I don't even know, man. Chris, you had me thinking when you were saying that like Nintendo likes to do this. When you were talking about how like with the 3DS and then the new 3DS and all the distinguishing characteristics between two, you had me thinking like, man, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna be the next thing? Like, is it gonna be like a third screen? Like, I don't even know at this point. I can't even capitulate an idea. I don't know. Like, two screens blew my mind when I saw that. I was like, this is like a fucking Game & Watch, but way better.
Yeah, so maybe that's what they were going for.
I have no idea.
I think
it has to be. It looks just like a Game & Watch.
Yeah,
Anyways, go ahead, Dakota. What do you think?
Well, I definitely think Sony's out. I don't think that they're ever going to make a handheld again.
No, they're bailing for sure.
I think somebody asked Shuei Yoshida about it, and he said some things about the mobile phone gaming market is kind of eating into the handheld gaming space, and therefore blah 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 blah. I don't think that's true. Obviously, the DS is doing just fine. So there's that. I think that Sony should stop because they are seeing wild success with the console space. And conversely, I think that Nintendo should just stop making consoles and focus on the handheld space.
I 100% agree with that. The Wii U got some really cool like unique things about it.
Yeah.
But you know what's hilarious is that the unique things about the Wii U is the little handheld controller.
Right.
It's like,
right. The best part about their console is the handheld that comes with the console.
yeah, it's fucking hilarious. Like, and so it's like focus on that. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, Nintendo has the NX, which everybody's expecting. They're going to be releasing information about E3, and this is only rumors and speculations, but everybody thinks it's going to be some kind of weird mobile console. But I have no idea what that even means. There's a lot of weird speculation about that.
Well, I mean, that Wii U controller is on its way to being a mobile console. Like, that thing is pretty fucking advanced.
Yeah, that's true, but I don't know, man. Like, the Wii U had so many things working. Number one, the name. People didn't understand it was another new console if you weren't in the gaming biz. Like, a 40-year-old mom wouldn't know. But
right.
And then they had so many missteps with that. I don't think the controller, that's what they were going for. They're like, oh, we're going to slowly get people from the handheld controller like screen to a new handheld only console.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the future is for handheld games. I'm thinking Nintendo's working in the mobile space now, which is really, really interesting. With Miitomo just came out.
Mm-hmm.
They have Pokemon Go, which they worked with a company at Google to do, which
God, and we're all anxiously waiting.
So
they have they said there's a Fire, I don't know if you guys heard about this, the Fire Emblem and an Animal Crossing app, which are due out in fall of this year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which I'm really interested to see. Animal Crossing is going to be really, I want to know how that works out. They said it's going to have some kind of connectivity to one of their games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that's going to work, but it seems pretty cool. And then I don't know how that Fire Emblem one's going to work, if that's going to be kind of like it's a turn-based strategy game already. I wonder if they're going to sign me up. I don't know. So I think Nintendo's going to be dipping into this mobile right now because it's near the end, I'd say, of the 3DS's lifespan. Like, I'd give it another good year of development before they start, kind of just puttering out games.
Yeah.
Well, so it really depends on their next console, though. If their next console ends up being a mobile console, who knows?
I don't know if it will. I don't think they're going to make another mobile console, like a handheld console. I think they're going to focus on mobile right now, see how it goes, and then maybe go from there, or maybe integrate that with their next handheld. I don't think we're seeing the end of the Nintendo handheld. I think we're going to see an interesting merger of maybe mobile applications with use of the handheld in some way.
What would be cool is if
that would be the triple screen right there.
Yeah, what would be cool is if you had like a console that like your smartphone was the controller, right? Like that would be really cool.
I would not like that.
Like you download like an app that is like the Nintendo controller, and then you just like can play this game on your phone. So everybody has a controller. That would be sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm spitballing ideas, man. I have no idea.
Well, something else that occurred to me too is like maybe part of this problem is that most of the games on Vita are also released on PS4. So people are, like we said, going to say, I'm just going to play on PS4. And then conversely, most of the games or many of the games that are released on 3DS are also released on Wii U. Problem is, nobody has a Wii U, so they have to go to the 3DS to play them. Everybody has a PS4, so they don't need to go to the Vita to play them. So again, it kind of like says, okay, guys, just focus on the strength, right? You don't need to be double dipping. It's almost like they're self-cannibalizing all their sales in a way, and I'm sure that's very well documented. It's funny though. At the end of 2015, I got numbers that say Nintendo, according to Nintendo, the 3DS worldwide sales end of 2015 were 54 million. 54 million. Meanwhile, the Vita was like at 12 million. So they're like roughly 5 times, over. Similarly, the Wii U, 10 million. So the Wii U and the PS Vita are really neck and neck for sales. Like they really do mirror one another in that weird way. So, yeah,
in the failure-ish category.
Yeah, in that way, yes.
I didn't want to say it, but I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Yep. So I mean, we've discussed, where we started at with mobile gaming, we're handheld gaming because they're different. We need to distinguish. Mobile gaming is kind of its own thing now. We discussed where we started with handheld gaming, where we see the future going. I think the future of this podcast is leading right to the Metabet, though. So let's move on.
Sings it in. You were filling in because you thought I was going to forget to press the button again, right?
Yeah.
All right, so the
Dakota,
Metabet.
Yeah,
this is my segment. Oh, man, I'm all flustered. All right, the Metabet, for those that don't know, is the game where we bet on the Metacritic score of an upcoming video game. Last week, what happened last week, guys? Do you recall?
Okay, so last week we were supposed to do a hoops mode boy fight, but I have been moving all week. I'm finally here. I'm good, but so we're gonna do it either tonight or tomorrow. We're still gonna do it. You're still gonna get your fix of obnoxious Metabet videos, but for the time being, we don't have anything to talk about because we haven't done it yet.
So Chris won. Mitch and I were tasked to play some Rocket League hoops with no boost. We didn't get around to it. We're just as sad as anybody is.
Right. I forgot it was no boost. I completely forgot about that part.
You're a bunch of failures. God. Hold on.
We
you
did.
both didn't do anything.
We're still gonna do it. We just didn't have time. I apologize, man.
Yep. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So sorry,
Relax,
Chris.
Chris.
You'll get your justice, man. You'll get your sweet justice.
You gotta have best out of 5 now instead of best out of 3.
Oh my Christ, that's so much meta betting.
The man is. Spoken.
I mean, you got interest. If you miss another week, it's gonna be best out of 10.
Okay. Well, it better get it done. I'm gonna have you talk to my fiance for the time. I need you to get her on board. All right, so this week we're going to be reviewing what we bet on last week, which was Battleborn for the PS4. Yes. So have you guys read anything about this game, Battleborn?
We talked about how we're excited but not excited for it, and I don't want to.
$60 is a lot of money. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that's those are my thoughts. So to recap the bets from top to bottom, Chris had 83. I was sitting in the Manwich with 80, and Mitch had 79. Today, the day of release, Battleborn has a Metacritic score of not available. So today is the day of release.
Get out.
Their online servers did not go live until midnight this morning, and so a lot of the outlets opted to only do that in progress kind of style review, because all they could do was play the campaign. I didn't even know there's a campaign to this game, by the way. Apparently there's a single player campaign that I don't know how much like the multiplayer version it plays, but it didn't sound like a MOBA to me, just from reading. I'm of the opinion that the meat and potatoes of this game is the online MOBA maps, right?
Yeah.
I thought
that's what I read. I didn't even know
there was a single player.
Yeah, so
I did actually read one review that said, it had the main thing everybody would be going for is that MOBA mode.
Yeah, and it's not.
They were mentioning a bunch of other things, and it wasn't a review,
right.
So
and it wasn't available. Just to kind of give you a glimpse, IGN says if we had to score it now, 7.3, but it doesn't matter. They're not even scoring what we're betting on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, as is tradition, when something happens with the score, we all get to suffer together. So we are all going to suffer the Metabet. And I think we're going to play some Overwatch, right? I mean, we have to.
Yeah, we are 100%.
Oh, yeah, Overwatch. Well, we can't do it. We got to just do it like a one-day thing, man, because I don't want to have my only weekend.
Yeah. We'll do something like that. We'll do
one day.
Like we all play, we can all play Roadhog on the same team, totally aggravate our teammates, and see who can get the most hooks. Something like that.
How about one day we just monkey around?
We could.
No. You know what? I actually kind of like this. How about this? One day out of the week, we each pick the person that the other person has to play. Like, I get to pick what you play, Dakota, even if you don't want to play him.
Okay.
Or her, I guess.
All right. Chris, how do you feel?
I like that. I think it'd be better if we did like a theme. So that way we could all have something that we screw up with.
Okay, how about this?
All three of us like our own ideas the best.
Okay, no, how about this? I got it. One day out of the week, we all have to whenever we play, there has to be a theme in the characters that we pick. We have to pick some sort of theme as we're playing. Whether it's all Roadhogs or all monkeys or I don't even know, all Mercy.
How about we leave it as a surprise for the viewer for the video that we make?
Okay, so we're going to make a nondescript Overwatch video for next week. Enjoy.
There you go. How exciting is that?
Yeah.
How exciting is
Wow! All
right.
Look, I'm doing jazz hands over here.
Yeah, God, get your jazz hands off of my podcast.
The jazz hands kind of sound like this.
Well, that's a great description.
All right, so
because they didn't hear that from my video.
Yeah, exactly.
God.
Turn your mic up, Chris. For this week, we're going to be betting on Uncharted 4 for the PlayStation 4. It's coming out in a week.
I can't wait.
I've already got my number written down.
Like a dick. It was delayed like an asshole.
It's
finally out.
Delayed twice times. I think it was originally supposed to be coming out in March, late March.
We'll talk about it.
All right, guys. Put your number in chat.
My number's in chat. My number done had been in chat.
Done been.
He's got such PS boners for this game.
PS boners.
Also known as a boner.
Boner. Get over here.
All right, I'm ready.
Chris,
you guys ready?
You ready? All right, 3, 2, 1, hit it. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so
wow, this is great.
This is a good spread.
This is the best spread we've ever had.
Yeah.
So from peakest to weakest, I'm up top with 95. I believe. Chris is in the Man-Witch with 90, and Mitch is down low with 85. 85 blasphemy.
I'm playing it safe, guys, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's don't get me wrong. Like, I loved the Uncharted series, but I don't know. Scores have not been good for me, so I'm just playing it real safe, hoping that maybe I can just squeak out.
You're trying to game the system, right? You're playing Prices Right.
I'm playing the Prices Right. I'm not really betting on it. I'm playing the Prices Right at this point.
All right.
I'm playing the Metabet is right. So, well, as always, Analog Stick Radio is brought to you by BitCultures. Now, if you've never been to BitCultures, it's a site that features video game reviews, opinion pieces, a bunch of digital media, just like this podcast. If that's something that you're interested in, make sure you check them out, www.bitcultures.com. If you want to reach us, Analog Stick Rad Guys, you can email us at analogstickradio@gmail.com, or you can tweet us. We love tweets, @ASR Podcast. Write them down. Tweet us some dumb shit. We will read it right here. We record every single Tuesday night right here on twitch.tv/analogstickradio. So if you're listening in and you're like, man, how cool is Mitch's beard? I wonder how cool it is. Or how sweet are Chris's jazz hands? You can watch us every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. But if you're like, you know what, I'm just going to fucking listen to it instead, we publish it to every podcast tracker the following Thursday. Any parting words before we go play some dang video games?
I got some parting sound effects.
That's a good one.
Well, there it is. Once again, I am Mitch. For myself, Chris, and Dakota, this has been Analog Stick Radio. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Get out of here.
See ya.